Hello and welcome to the Student Council Podcast, an educational advice show made for students and by students, where everyone is qualified to talk about their own experiences. My name is Carter Dvorak, I am your host, and I am so excited to be joined by Easton Dana of Canned Goods, the founder of Canned Goods, calling in from Arizona State University. Easton, thank you so much for coming on today. How you been? What have been your favorite 5 minutes of the past week?
Dude, I've been awesome. It's been pretty hot out here in Arizona, but I've had a pretty solid last week. I'd say my favorite 5 minutes has been watching my TikToks blow up. I've been putting a lot of effort into them, and I've just been getting hundreds of positive comments and engagement from an audience of sustainably minded individuals like me.
I love that so much. I mean, I was one of those people who I saw your TikTok one day and I was like, yes, this guy, immediately. And so, I have to say, within probably 30 minutes, I went online, ordered a shirt, and then emailed you and said, hey, you want to come on a podcast? And look at us now.
Oh, I was so excited to get that email. I'm excited to get on a podcast. I'm excited to pack up your shirt for you. I'll leave you a little thank you note as well. That's just awesome.
Yeah, talk me through Canned Goods. Talk to me about what it is. How did it start? What is this whole operation you're running?
So essentially, Canned Goods is a sustainable apparel and packaging company that finds fun and unique ways to package apparel and other items that does not involve plastic. It's all about a mission to end plastic waste. I'll get into my story. So starting about 2 years ago, I'm in high school. I love nature, fishing my local ponds, surfing in the ocean, snowboarding in the mountains, and skating in the desert. I was a big skateboarder in high school, went out, did it with my friends, and at the same time, I was running my buddy. He was an influencer, his apparel brand. He was an influencer on TikTok, had a few 100,000 followers, and I was running his brand for him, doing the marketing, social media, and basically figuring out all the logistics behind getting his brand out to the people. Now, after doing that for a year or so, he decided to take a break from being an influencer, start to pursue college, buckle down, and at the same time, I just loved the experience of running his brand so much that I wanted to make my own brand, an apparel brand, and I wanted to make it all about my passions, one of which included skateboarding. So I started what would later become Canned Goods, an apparel brand called Easy Skate Co. The whole mission behind this was just live easy. Easy's kind of a play off my name, Easton, and the one thing I needed to be sure of is that I was different. It seems like everybody and their mom these days wants to start a clothing brand. Everybody wants to sell clothes. So I had to differentiate myself from all these other competitors. And I remember reading a statistic in Forbes magazine that says 70% of consumers want to buy something that they think is sustainable, and 50% of consumers prefer premium and unique packaging. You know, packaging is super important when it comes to products. It's why when you buy shoes, you put the Nike box up in your room, or super expensive products like Rolexes, Tiffany bracelets. They all come in these nice wooden boxes that you open and keep for years. It's all about the unpackaging experience. It's also why unboxing videos have gotten huge on YouTube and stuff like that. So I knew I needed to be different, I needed to be sustainable, and I needed to have unique packaging. So I decided to seal all of my Easy Skate Co. apparel in recycled aluminum cans. These recycled aluminum cans were super cool. They had labels on the outside that matched the design of the shirt on the inside. They were unique. They had funny little phrases on them, and people popped open these cans just like soda cans. They would pop them open, take the shirt out, and then usually put the can up in their room, maybe put some flowers in it, pens, pencils, coins, anything like that. I grew this brand around Arizona, and about the summer of this year, I realized I wanted to make the brand's mission larger than just skateboarding. I wanted to really dive into, well, how can we create sustainable packaging for everyone, and how can we really make an impact? So I shifted the brand from a skate brand, Easy Skate Co., to a sustainable apparel brand all about ending plastic waste, which became the name Canned Goods. Canned goods, of course. Canned goods are usually items that come in cans at the store. It's got the name goods in there because we're doing good for the environment, and I just loved the name. So I created the brand Canned Goods around this summer, and I really shifted towards making the impact on the environment and building the brand around sustainability. And with that, I started donating to One Ocean Conservancy to remove a pound of plastic for every can that I ended up selling. This way, we were making a direct impact, as well as impacting how people think packaging can be. Because the real goal was to target plastic packaging. I created nature-themed designs to fit with the brand, and going in after the summer, I started working closely with ASU, and they helped me basically with resources that fueled my brand. And starting 2023, I've now began collaborating with other brands, not only in the apparel space, but in a few other spaces as well, to find unique alternatives to plastic packaging and really just bring canned goods and sustainability to everywhere in the industry.
It's absolutely incredible. It's such a great brand and a great name. I think of this this, I don't know if you know the YouTuber Tom Scott. He does like, he's a British guy. He does these kind of like, sending garlic bread to space and kind of like that like Mark Rober type, like really kind of does these really interesting, informative videos. And he said a line once, which is that like customers love, or people love, like the familiar mixed with novelty. And I think that like not novelty in like cheap goods, but like novelty in like something that's new and different and unique. And when I saw canned goods, I was immediately like, this is like the epitome of that, of like these like really cool, designs. I think some of them kind of give me some retro vibes, but like this like getting rid of plastic packaging, one, is so cool. Two, the cans are such a like fun and smart and unique idea. You like hit it on the head. I think about the iPhone boxes. Like I have all of my Apple boxes tossed away in my closet because I'm like, these are too cool to throw away. Like, and so I think it's something that's remarkably cool in that sense of kind of bringing these shirts in this cool design. I'm curious to ask, and I have a bunch of questions here. I'm curious to ask, like, what do you envision canned goods moving forward? Have you ever thought about like patenting this packaging style, or like, would you want, like, is it going to be something like would you want this kind of idea of like canned apparel to like expand into other companies? Like, what do you kind of want to do with that? And also collaboration wise, any other exciting new collaborations or things moving forward with that?
Well, I'll tell you this, in terms of patenting, I don't believe we can patent it, because usually patents have to prove utility, meaning it serves a purpose beyond just brand. I guess the only utility I could think of is it keeps shirts dry and away from the weather and stuff like that. But that's not the real reason why they're in cans. It's not for the utility. And at the same time, when patenting it, it makes it difficult for other brands to try and replicate us. I will say we are trademarking canned goods. We don't want other people stealing our name and misrepresenting the brand. And I'll also say a lot of research has gone into where I source the cans, how I get the labels, how I can do it most cost effectively, because that's a big thing with sustainable packaging is usually it's going to be more expensive. So because I've been able to run stuff through the brand in terms of wholesaling, getting prices a lot cheaper, it's going to encourage other brands to actually just partner with us, and we can help them package whatever they want in our sustainable cans, because we're essentially going to be able to get it for them cheaper than if they were to traditionally can their own items separately from us. So that's why I'm not super worried about patenting the idea, and I'm open to other people using the idea, but I think it's smarter for other brands to just partner with us, because I've done the years of research. I have the supply chain that gets me everything affordably, and I'll tell you what, I also have an industrial can sealer, and most people aren't going to have that lying around the office. As I mentioned before, talking about other brands working with us, that really is the future of canned goods, right? The apparel brand is awesome. It's bringing attention to plastic waste, but the real growth is through helping other brands all in the space to also align with our mission. I'll tell you right now what's wrong with current sustainable packaging. A lot of brands, whether it be apparel or manufacturing or just any type of product, if they want to use sustainable packaging, usually the packaging is just a brown compostable bag. It might have like a leaf on it that says like, this bag is compostable, and it's pretty bland and boring, often unbranded, and at the end of the day, it's costing the producer more money. There's a sustainable tax, basically, where if you put sustainable on everything, it's going to end up being more money, and a lot of the times, the consumer doesn't want to pay more money just because something's sustainable. So I've had to find this solution of creating sustainable packaging that's more than just being sustainable. It adds more value to the product than just being completely recyclable and available to upcycle. So that's where the cans really come into play when it comes to helping other businesses. Beyond being sustainable, they're also branded. They are designed to be used as room decor. Like I said, people put flowers, pens, pencils, and stuff like that. And when there's branded room decor in your room, there's going to be constant brand recognition. So companies love the idea that people are going to essentially have their logo in their room whenever they use these sustainable cans. On top of that, it helps other businesses stand out. Nobody else is using cans. It's super unique, and the unboxing experience is super, super fun. Consumers love it, and it goes viral a lot on social media because of how unique it is. So I've been able to target the issue of sustainable packaging being boring and consumers and other companies not using sustainable packaging by creating sustainable packaging that is way more than just being sustainable. It gives that extra value to the product that makes it so other companies want to use the cans for more than just being sustainable, and they're willing to pay that little extra more, and so are the consumers.
Absolutely. I have to ask this too, because when I first looked at the shirts, I'll have to admit, I was because there's a sustainability tax, as you said, I was very, very happily surprised that like they run the same rate as any other, I think, t-shirts that I found online. Like, the one I'm wearing today, I got off a nice, like, it was a coffee shop, merch shop actually, but it was like equally the same price, if not like more expensive than the canned goods shirts. And I'm curious, like, is that because of a wholesale thing? Are you willing to like swallow a little bit more of the profit cost on that for sustainability? I know you're also donating some of the proceeds. So like, how does that kind of look?
Well, in terms of donating the proceeds, it's actually you helping us as well. Because when I donate, it's a tax write-off at the end of the year. So I figure if I'm going to be paying those taxes, I might as well be donating to charity. Anyways, I think people often overlook how expensive or affordable things should or could be. You go to PacSun, you go to Tilly's. I'm just talking about like stores that my generation or people who want to be sustainable will go to. And shirts are often going to be $30-$35. But that's really just because you have all these big companies knowing they can get away with super high prices. The prices don't really have to be that expensive. In terms of the packaging, I've done a lot of research in ensuring I get everything locally. So my labels that I use, I get them printed locally. My apparel, I get it printed locally. I use just 100% cotton, not polyester, because polyester is a plastic-based fabric, but 100% cotton, which is affordable and eventually biodegradable. And the cans I get out of San Diego, which is just a few hours away from my house, or from my ASU. And because I've been able to make everything local, I don't have to worry about all these increased shipping costs, having to account for shipping times, and the end price can reflect that to where I only have to charge $25 or $30 for a shirt. I can compete with Tilly's and PacSun and these larger brands that are charging pretty expensive prices for just t-shirts, and I'm still able to keep the business moving and keep the business healthy.
That's amazing. It's so kind of cool and interesting, and it makes me just really happy that I feel like, again, it's almost kind of like, because of just everything that we've seen so far with a lot of businesses, like going local is like, oh, it's going to be more expensive, and more like going local is actually reducing like the bottom line, or is reducing the cost, and that's so cool. Oh, it makes me so happy. Now, I like asking, I recently had some other people on who just started a very different business, but it was really interesting. I liked asking them like some of the most toughest and most fulfilling things in starting any project, because you know that there's both that like grueling grind and that like really nice high. And so I'm curious, what are some of the most toughest experiences for you running and starting canned goods? What have been some of the most fulfilling experiences as well?
No, yeah. So like I mentioned, it was super tough creating a completely local supply chain. I kind of got lucky there to where Tempe, the city where ASU is in, it's the screen print capital of the world, or at least of America. So there's tons of screen print shops here, and it's made it so I could pretty easily get my shirts printed here. And because of all those screenshots, there are screen printing shops, they're all competing with each other, so it drives prices down. But still, it's tough to get a completely local supply chain, especially with my labels too. Where are you going to find someone who prints soup labels that lives within 10 minutes of you? And I was fortunate enough to reach out to a local comic book printing shop and ask them, hey, can you print my labels on your comic book paper? And they were able to do it, and now I no longer had to buy labels from all around America. And all of this also comes back to the tough fact that I'm dealing with very little upfront cash. I haven't had any outside ASU grants or any funding or investment. It's literally just been probably $200 that I had in high school. So not having any upfront cash, I had to be scrappy. I had to be calling 20 different screen print shops around me, figuring out where I can get the most affordable prices without sacrificing quality. I had to be finding unique ways to package or to get the can labels. I had to be finding a can supplier that wasn't super expensive and could deal with my low order quantities, because I'm not buying 10,000 soup cans like a soup can company is. And having very little upfront cash, I can't be wholesaling big amounts. So that's been one of the other super tough things I've had to deal with, and I've had to find unique and creative ways to fight that challenge. In terms of fulfilling, I mean, yeah, I'd say the highs are definitely better than the lows. I mean, the lows can get pretty low, pretty tough, especially when you're dealing with these difficult challenges. But at the end of the day, I'm going out to my pop-up events around Arizona, and I'm meeting my followers. People are saying, hey, I saw you on TikTok. I love the brand idea. I love this shirt. Let me get 2 of them. Or just meeting people in the industry who are backing the project. I recently had a meeting with the CEO and founder of North Face, the outdoorsy brand, and he told me how much he loved the idea and was really vouching for me, like, yeah, this is cool, and it's gonna make a difference. And also meeting those who are reaching out to me excited about the idea. Every time I get a good TikTok going or I'm posting on social media, people like you are emailing me like, hey, let's be on this podcast. Hey, I love the brand idea. And every time I get those emails, I'm like, I know I'm doing something right. I know it's all worth it. And finally, at the end, for every financial quarter, I'm donating to remove plastic waste, and there's just been 3, 4, 5x growth quarter to quarter for how much waste is being removed. And just seeing that growth and knowing I'm making that impact, it makes all the tough and difficult challenges worth it.
That's absolutely incredible. I am so proud of the work you've been doing. Yeah, absolute kudos to you. I wish you the best of success with canned goods. I'm so excited to I feel like talking to you now, I'm just sitting here like, man, I get to say I know him when, or I knew him when, right? Like when it's like the North Face canned goods collab, and I'm like, man, I was like there for the early days. But even still, it's like you've been going at this for 2 years, which is awesome. So now I want to shift. I love talking to everybody about college experiences. Of course, you have a canner in your dorm room, so it's all kind of intertwined here. But what have been your college experiences so far? What are you really studying in Arizona? What are kind of your thoughts for anything after graduation? Like, how has that all been?
Yeah, so I'm studying entrepreneurship at ASU's W.P. Carey School of Business, as well as Barrett the Honors College, which is their honors college over at ASU. And I'm not going to lie, it's been super tough balancing in class and canned goods, especially as the company has been taking off in the past few months. I've really had to analyze what I really value in my life and prioritize my time, right? Should I be working on the business right now, or should I go out in my dorm room and play video games with my roommates? I got to choose one of them, and I can't be playing video games anymore when I got a business to run. Or should I be working on this essay and try and get 100%? Or should I do some canned good stuff and be okay getting an 80, 85% on the essay or just in my classes overall? However, I have been able to blend school and business through a few ASU programs. They have a class called the New Venture Challenge class, which I applied and got into, and it's a group of ASU student founders and mentors and investors around the Arizona area. And basically the class talks to us about how to grow our business, things we're doing right and wrong, and we're able to talk to these mentors and also investors who know what it's like growing startups and being in the startup space and give us advice on that. ASU also has other programs that I'll get into a little bit later that help provide resources and basically help me run my company efficiently. Especially since I'm just a freshman. I don't have an MBA. I don't have any degrees. I have limited experience in the actual big business world. And throughout my college, because I have all these resources, I plan to keep building more companies alongside canned goods and other companies after college as well. I love the feeling of creating movements and building something from the ground up, and especially projects that have an emphasis on impactful, whether it's to society, whether it's to the environment like canned goods, or students at ASU.
That's incredible. I really empathize with you with that last point. I think that they have such a fun and kind of a rush and a cool experience of like starting a project or making a change or like working together and doing something with it. I just think it's such a great experience. Now, I also love to know for those interested in ASU and curious about it, like what's the student perspective like? What's the culture of the school? What are kind of the traditions, the staples, the like things that you really see on the day to day?
All right, Carter. I'm not gonna lie to you. Okay, it's no secret. Yeah. ASU is a party school. I don't know if you've heard that. We do have a bit of a reputation. The administration likes to say that we're no longer a party school. We're locking down on business. And while some of that's true, you can't invite the professor to get drunk in your dorm like you could 20 years ago. You're still gonna have that atmosphere. You're still gonna have people walking around in party outfits. Everybody's in swimsuits and bikinis walking to class. And there's constantly dorm parties going on across the hall. I mean, frat and Greek life, sororities, stuff like that. It's pretty big here. Lots of people are involved in that kind of stuff. There's always a dorm party to go to. They claim it's a dry campus, however, that's not super true. But I will say that's not always a horrible thing. And their big emphasis here is on their business school, W.P. Carey, which is honestly probably why it's such a party school. It's filled with a bunch of business majors. And because everybody's, socializing and meeting each other, it creates a really good networking and events, not only through the social aspect of meeting people at dorm parties and stuff, but also through school programs. ASU does pride itself on being a school that you can build a network at. And they have programs and events and student businesses that you can go to and collaborate with other people, including Venture Devils, which is an ASU program where if you have a student startup or even an idea, you can apply and they'll supply you with mentors and workshops on how to build your business on super technical stuff that you might not know. Like I said earlier, my New Venture Challenge class where you're with other founders, and they'll also supply you with mentors. That's how I met the person who connected me with the founder of North Face, and I was able to get his input. So if you're looking for a school to go to where you can socialize and you really want to build a great network and meet a lot of people, then you definitely want to go to ASU.
Yeah, that's a great pitch for the school. I see a couple business school parallels there, and that's really nice to have that, both that great support and the great fun experiences, right? You can have a great school that work hard and play hard is what they say, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, I just saw the first note that you had under this next question, but okay, do you have any like shifting majors and paths? How did you really kind of settle on business and entrepreneurship and things like that?
Yeah, so I come from a long line of local news anchors. So my dad was a news anchor, or is a news anchor for the local NBC station here in Arizona. My grandpa was a news anchor in the heyday of local news. Think Anchorman with Will Ferrell. Everybody's turning on the local news in the evening, and everyone loves the local news, man. And even my great great grandpa did radio, kind of like you. You know, was a microphone, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And because I've been surrounded by, of course, news anchors are super outgoing, I've gotten pretty comfortable when it comes to talking in front of people, public speaking. And growing up, I did a lot of professional off-Broadway shows at a professional theater in downtown Arizona or downtown Phoenix area called Arizona Broadway Theater. I did musicals. I was the lead for 2 of the 3 shows, and this taught me to really build an outgoing persona, and it also helped me manage a little bit of money that I was making doing these professional shows. Keep in mind, I was doing these at 10, 11, and 12, so I was very young.
Yeah.
And doing these shows, I wanted to be on camera, just like my dad. I wanted to get into the film industry. I had done my theater acting. My dad's on TV. My grandpa's on TV. I want to be on TV. So I started doing a little bit of film work, nothing big. PSAs, like maybe a little promo video for smaller companies, stuff like that. And I didn't really find a lot of success. It's pretty difficult when you're not living in LA. And so that's when I first came to the reality with, shoot, my dream of becoming like a famous actor and working in Hollywood, it's probably not going to happen, or at least not while I'm in high school. And even though that was kind of tough, I still had a love for film. I did film competitions in high school and won my district's film festival, and I was able to use everything I learned through just getting good at public speaking, performing for a bunch of people, learning to edit videos, learning to perform on camera, and I was able to use this as leverage for networking, film editing, social media, and helping with my first influencer's brand. That I mentioned earlier. And of course, running that brand for him, using everything I'd learned, that eventually developed into canned goods and my love for entrepreneurship. In terms of whether or not I'm going to change majors or paths in the future, I mean, I haven't changed majors yet because I'm just a freshman, but like, who knows what can happen. I didn't think I'd be running a relatively successful business at 18 when I was doing Broadway shows at 10.
Yeah, things change. It's kind of cool. Like, I see the progression. Like, it's cool to track that, like, for you, and kind of from where you started to where you are today. When I read like lineage of news anchors, like just from the moment you got on the call, you had like a really great on-camera energy. Yeah. And I'm like, I could tell, and I'm like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I do have to ask, do you have a favorite? What was your favorite of the Broadway shows to be on? Do you still enjoy Broadway shows and listening and watching those?
Yeah, I still like watching them. I'd say my favorite. So there's a movie called A Christmas Story. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you heard about it. It's about a little boy who wants a BB gun for Christmas, and he goes through all these challenges. And at the very end, he finally gets the BB gun from Santa Claus, and it's a cute story about Christmas traditions. There's a musical version of it, and I was the little boy, Ralphie, and I just love that musical because it was Christmas time. Everybody was super happy. The audience was super engaged, and I was on my first billboard in a pink bunny outfit because Ralphie wears a pink bunny outfit in the middle of the musical, and he's super embarrassed about it. So there's a promotion billboard of me in a pink bunny outfit at 10 years old, and I still have that picture somewhere, and seeing that, I'm like, wow, this is awesome. I'm doing great things.
Yeah, I was gonna ask because you get to keep the pink bunny outfit, but I mean, you got the billboard.
Yeah, I at least got the picture of the billboard.
That's awesome. Switching back to schooling a little bit, I love asking everybody about housing. I think it's a essential component and always very different and informative for people. So kind of what's ASU's housing like? Where are you kind of living now? Where do you think you'll be going after this year? Just kind of give me the lowdown.
Well, I'll start with how I selected my housing back when I was in high school. As I mentioned, or in high school, I was told that I needed to apply, mostly by my parents, that I needed to apply to ASU's Honors College. The Honors College was developed 10 or 11 years ago, and it was developed when there was a transition of power in the ASU presidency. A new president came in, his name's Michael Crow. He wanted to take the reputation of ASU being a party school out of the ASU brand, and with that, he created an Honors College to try and make us look a little more academic. And the Honors College, the big thing and the big reason people want to apply, besides it looks better on your diploma, is you get your own room as a freshman. You're in a suite with 4 other roommates that has a living room, room for a TV, sink, a little mini kitchen, and your bathrooms. You get bathrooms that you don't have to share with everyone else on your floor. On top of that, they have a whole separate dining hall that has much better food. Now, when I was told to apply, while all this sounded great, I felt conflicted as to whether or not I should apply. First of all, when you're in the Honors College, there is a little bit extra work, and I was worried about being overloaded, especially as I was running Easy Skate Co. at the time in high school, and I wanted to keep running that brand, and I thought, shoot, if I'm going to be running this brand and going to ASU with my normal classes, and now I got to deal with the honors workload, I was worried about that. But the other thing I was worried about, and what a lot of my friends are worried about, is if you're going to an honors college, are you going to be surrounded by people who really only care about school and aren't outgoing? I was thinking, I don't want to be roommates with a bunch of people who just sit in their room all day and keep their eyes on their work. However, I applied anyways, and it was one of the better decisions I've ever made in my life. I was completely wrong about whether or not I'd be overloaded or scared about not meeting people who identified with my personality. First of all, in terms of the living situation, because I have my own room, I can run the whole business out of it, right? Like I said, I got my can sealer here. My walls are stacked up with boxes that have shirts and more cans. My closets are filled, and I definitely would not be able to do this if I had a roommate and I was living with a roommate. They would not stand for that. My room wouldn't be as big. I wouldn't have closet storage space. So canned goods would not have happened without applying to the Honors College. Secondly, the Barrett community, the students, they're not like dorky nerds like you'd think. I mean, they're just people just like me and you. They still go out, they have fun like everyone else would, and that's the beautiful thing about college is you're gonna meet people who fit into your own personality. There are so many people at ASU and even in Barrett, there's a few thousand people. So there's so many people to meet, and you still get the same college experience as if you were to not be in the Honors College. And on top of that, the food is so much better. Because it's a newer building, they have newer facilities. You get sushi rolled in front of you. There's stir-fry chefs. The food's very helpful, and this is super important too because it helps me stay in shape through both body and mind to ensure I'm eating healthy. And on the work side, there isn't much extra work. It's one extra class I need to take per freshman semester, and then outside of that, there's a few little projects, but other than that, it's not much extra work than you would traditionally get. However, being in this much nicer living situation, I do feel conflicted because I have a lot of friends who don't live in Barrett, and their living conditions are really, really poor. I think that's an issue at a lot of universities, but it's seeming like to become a bigger and bigger issue here at ASU. The dorms right next to us that literally look into our windows every day and see how nice it is over in Barrett. They're small shared rooms. They have failing building facilities. There's always leaks, especially sewage leaks that are just horrible. The ceiling tiles are all punched out. The lighting is poor. There's mold. It smells bad. And it's just a poor environment for education. And I feel like just because I may have had better grades or better application and I applied to Barrett, I should not have a living advantage compared to all these other ASU students. I'm not really paying much more just because I'm in Barrett. So ASU should be able to provide this nice Barrett style living for all students, not just us. That's one major gripe I have is why do we get it much nicer? No one else does. It's not really fair. And but you also have to look at it like due to the massive infrastructure change that would need to take place for all the other housing to be transitioned to a Barrett style living, I don't think it's ever going to happen. So if you're applying to ASU, even my grades weren't even great in high school. I had like 3.3 GPA and I don't know, like a 29 on the ACT. That's not super impressive. And Barrett doesn't look at grades. They just look at who you are as a person in your application essay. So don't think you're not going to get in because there's a good chance you'll get in. So if you're applying to ASU, apply to Barrett. You will be so much happier. It'll be so much nicer. And there's really no reason not to. So that'd be my number one advice if you're applying to ASU, apply to Barrett.
Absolutely. I completely, that's a solid piece of advice. I like you carrying the nuance and the complexity of both being like, this is a great living space and like, why is there such a disparity? I think it's a really good thing. And also, you know, like, I totally agree. If you're going, I guess Barrett seems like a great place to be. How does somebody apply to Barrett out of curiosity, like on their application, or is that kind of after they get in? Like,
yes.
For those who are interested.
So first you're going to get into ASU, which has like a 95% success rate. It's more impressive if you don't get into ASU. And after you get into ASU, make sure, first of all, you're applying your first semester of your senior year, or maybe even second semester of your junior year. You want to get in early, the application cycle, because you're more likely to get chosen the earlier you submit. So after you get into ASU, you can go to, I think just look up Barrett, the Honors College application, and you'll be sent to a website. All you do is write an essay, answer a little questionnaire, submit your grades, and I think they're test blind, so I don't even think they look at your ACT or SAT. And you want to make sure you do that early, usually, like I said, first semester of your senior year, and I think there's a good chance that a lot of people listening will get in if they just do that. And yeah, that's how you'd apply.
Awesome, thank you. Now moving into some of the general rapid fire questions I love to ask everybody on the show. What is the most impactful piece of advice that somebody has given to you?
So I do not know where I saw this. Could have been like a TikTok or something. But everyone is obsessed with the idea of luck. Oh, he's only successful because he got lucky. Right place, right time. Luck is not chance. It is a product of opportunity and skill set. What I mean by that is there is always opportunity for something happening every single day. It's just whether or not you have the skill set to capitalize on that. For example, I was talking to somebody, one of my friends, and they said they knew somebody who ran a comic book store. And one might say, oh, it's lucky you happened to talk to someone who knew someone who had the comic book store, which you would later use to print your can labels. But what really made it luck was that I happened to have the skill set to have a brand that needed a comic book store and have the graphic design skills to be able to design these labels. And I was able to merge the opportunity of meeting somebody who had connections like that with my own skill set. So that's why I always preach to myself, build your skill set as much as you can. You know, learn a ton of different things. Graphic design, how to be on camera, how to do social media, how to edit videos, reading a ton of stuff. You don't have to be super good at it. Just have a somewhat okay idea of a ton of different skills. And this way, whenever any opportunity comes across, you're going to be able to capitalize on it and make your own luck. On top of that, the two other things I would say is I heard another phrase called "there's always a third door." A lot of people look at life or decisions, including myself, as you're always limited to two choices, or there's only metaphorically two doors you can go in, a right door or a left door. And sometimes what you have to do is stop thinking about whether you should go into the right door or the left door, and maybe make a new door, a third door that is a better option than both those doors. I'll give you an example. When I was starting canned goods, I had to think, okay, do I want to be just an apparel brand, or should I just be a business to business brand and package other brands apparel sustainably? And I went for a week like, oh, well, if I do the business or the apparel brand and it's just me, there's all these opportunities here, but I don't know if I can grow as big. And if I do the business to business side, it'll be harder to grow. It'll harder to meet people. I won't be able to grow social media because I'm just going to be behind the scenes. And then after a week, I was like, why can't I just do both? There's that third door, that third option that you don't think about. So if you're ever stuck between two options, think if maybe there's a third. And the last thing that goes with that is just read. And books. Books are underrated so much nowadays. I mean, I don't physically read a lot of them, but I listen to a lot of audiobooks. And the reason I like books to learn stuff compared to like YouTube videos or TikToks is when you're reading a book, the book has already been sold to you. The person who wrote that book has already made money. But when you're watching a YouTube video or a TikTok, a lot of the times they want to upsell you on something. Maybe a YouTube video wants to sell you his merch or sell you a course. So the content in that YouTube video is going to be biased against what he wants. But when it comes to books, they've already sold the book to you. They don't care about it. So the advice is never going to be biased. It's always going to be solid advice that has no ulterior motives, like maybe advice or lessons that come from YouTube, TikTok, or social media.
Yeah, no, it is. It always is. That's a really good point about books and things like that you kind of forget in a world of like a lot more education commodification, where like, yeah, no, it's like there isn't that like, yeah, they don't need to upsell you on the book.
Yeah.
If they do upsell you on the book, it's like maybe a sequel, and it's usually not something where they're like, it's not like there's a mid-roll ad every like chapter in a book, right?
Yep. And a lot of times books have to be published, so you already know that they've gone through lots of series of vetting, and the author who wrote them probably knows a thing or two about what he's writing about if he's investing in publishing a book and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's great. I also enjoy audiobooks, and I always try to dig into them more. Furthermore, do you have an ultimate tip for somebody going into college?
Yeah. So here's the tip or so I use that helps me academically, socially, and personally. First of all, academically, going into college, of course, if you want to go to college for a second year, you got to have good enough grades to not drop out or fail. And everybody always has the mindset of the professors against you, but most professors don't want you to fail. It looks bad on their resume. They usually get bonuses when their students do well. And so you have to kind of look at it, this professor isn't really against you. They'll make the class relatively easy as long as you know where to look. So you got to take advantage of the resources that they give out. Study guides usually reflect the tests pretty much exactly, just with different numbers or tweaks to the questions. And also building relationships with your professors. In a room, in a lecture hall of 400 students, if you're one of the students to go introduce yourself to the professor and just talk to them, they'll probably see your name on that essay and subliminally like you a little bit better and give you better grades. So academically, you kind of just have to play the game with the professor. Socially, I think networking is the biggest reason to go to college, not a diploma. Diplomas are important, but at the end of the day, when you have a diploma, if you want to get a job or do something else, you're going to be competing with everybody else who has that same diploma. So when you network and you meet someone who maybe has opportunities for job openings or stuff like that, you don't have to worry about competing with everyone else. So talk and meet as many people as you can. I keep a list of people that I met throughout college, just met whether I'm talking to them in line, at the UPS store, at the dining hall, or at a party, and I'll keep a list and say, this is this guy, he does this, and this is how he could help me in the future. Because a lot of times you're going to come to a point where you're facing a challenge, whether it be you need help on homework, or like my reference earlier, I needed to find a place to print my can labels, and that challenge can easily be fixed by someone you've already met. Like I said earlier, I just happened to meet someone by talking to them, and they told me about a comics book store that they think could print my labels. So meet as many people as you can, because there's always opportunities behind meeting as many people as you can. Learn people's names and be liked. Being liked is super important. Being liked by people will give you an advantage that money never will. I read a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People, which is kind of a cringy title when it comes comes to like you sound like you need friends. But it has a lot of really good points on like remember people's birthdays, remember their names. They'll like you so much more, and they're more often than not they'll go out of their way to help you. And don't make enemies even when you want to. Yeah, there's a few people at ASU that I don't like, but I'm not gonna make enemies with them. I'm gonna be nice to them because I never know when I might need their help. And finally, outside of academic and socially, for your own self, for personally, I would say delete TikTok. That's pretty direct advice, and it kind of goes against Canned Goods' whole business model, which is getting viral TikTok videos and building our brand that way. But as somebody who posts on TikTok and learns a lot about the algorithm and the tricks they use to suck you in, I would say delete TikTok. It makes you a consumer and not a creator. I'd say always try and be a creator, not a consumer. Stop trying to consume media and make things. Humans were built to make and engineer things, whether it be a brand, whether it be art, whether it be songs, whether it be poems, anything. You will feel better and you will feel happier if you are actively creating stuff instead of consuming it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm curious. So as you are still a TikTok creator, do you have the app on your phone and you just never like go on it? I'm asking this question for myself because I have the exact same phenomenon.
Yeah.
But like, yeah.
So when I say delete TikTok, it's because I'm a victim of this too. I tell myself I should delete TikTok, but ideally I can't because I run my business a lot through TikTok and Instagram as well. I do go on TikTok for about 20 minutes every day. On a separate personal feed. In this feed, I've liked and curated all my For You page videos to be exactly the same as what Canned Goods target audience is. And I scroll through 20 minutes and I send the most viral videos to my official Canned Goods account and just take notes of comments and trends and different sounds. And then I stop myself at 20 minutes, go to my Canned Goods account, and now that I've consumed for 20 minutes, I tell myself, okay, now you got to create for 40 minutes. And I set myself a goal to create 3 TikToks a day. So I will say I do use TikTok for business reasons. I try and limit myself, and at least I'm also creating TikToks and not just consuming all of them. But if you're not using TikTok for business, just don't go on it.
It's better off in the end. Yeah, yes. Honestly, I feel that. It's fun. It is like there's good community building there, but so much of the time I can get sucked into so many things.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Do you have a dorm room essential item or anything that you should kind of tips on the dorms?
Yeah, besides the can sealer, which I think everyone should have in their room. I don't have a specific essential, but I will say it's super important to have your room cleaned because messy room at least for me, a messy room makes my mind super disorganized and messy. So I set myself a goal to have a super nice clean room by every single Monday. So I don't have to worry about whether or not my room's clean except Sunday night. Set myself a goal, always clean your room, and this way I can start the week refreshed and not stressed about my room, and that helps me like mentally reset and be ready for the week.
That's a great tip. I love to, as much as I can, try and clean and dust the room. I feel like it's always dust, man. That's my thing. Yes. It comes for me. But like it's such a good thing to have a clean room. I love it so dearly. I need to figure that out at some point this week. Anyways, is there a moment from high school that you still think about?
Yeah, there's a few. Basically, any moment that's built up to an event from tons of hard work and months of planning. We played a game called Assassins in high school where there's a big social media account that everybody follows, and everybody who's following the account is playing this game. And the game is you have to shoot everybody else with water guns and take videos of it. And you can shoot them outside of school, at nighttime, stuff like that. And if you get shot with a water gun and there's a video of it, you're out of the competition. So you have a few hundred students playing, and by the end of a few months, everybody's been shot with a water gun except one person, and they win. So I won that competition, and it took lots of months of planning and hard work. On top of that, I placed 5th place in my state championship for pole vault, which was just months of grinding and hard work, going out to the track and vaulting 3-4 times a week, and to be able to place 5th place in the state championship was just seeing all that hard work come to fruition. Same thing with winning my film festival. It took a few months to film everything and get all the ideas down, and then I won. So I just love seeing hard work coming to fruition, and that's always stuff that I think about.
Absolutely. Yeah. Another one I'd love to ask is, what would you tell yourself as a freshman in high school and then yourself at the start of college?
Yeah, so coming from a background of news anchors and being on Broadway when I was younger, I was always the loudest person in the room, at least freshman year in high school and through a lot of high school. I always talked out of turn, made jokes, loved the attention, which kind of just came from me doing that outside of school through the Broadway stuff and my parents, or my dad being a news anchor. But you gain much more value and you're liked by more people if you just listen. So I would tell myself, don't be the one always cracking jokes. Don't be the one being super loud. Listen to more people. You'll learn more stuff, learn more about not only other people, but different opportunities that might be out there. So I just tell myself to quiet down a little bit and not always be the loudest one in the room. When it comes to college, the number one thing, as I'd say, is crack down on your daily goals. Make every single day productive, no matter what. Canned Goods has grown 5 times in terms of revenue in the past month, just because at the beginning of this month, I sat down and set daily goals for myself every single day and said, I need to get this done by the end of the week or the end of the day. And this increased my daily productivity like crazy. I was getting stuff done in a day that would usually take a week. If I had just started doing this at the beginning of the school year back in August, canned goods, I can only imagine where it would be. It'd be so much bigger now.
Absolutely. No, daily goals and having those agendas and just good plans is so critical, and sticking to them
Yes,
too.
stick to them.
The biggest element of it is having those goals and like taking the dedication. And I remember I did like cross country running in like started in 4th grade. My mom would like go out and do runs and stuff with like other kids and friends from school, and she told me like she's like heard this thing of like you have to run through the suck, and it's like
Yes.
I've thought about that quote for a very long time, because man, there's a point when you run where everything hurts and everything feels awful, and you could just stop. You can just stop moving your legs and it's over. But if you keep going over that threshold and you kind of focus, and usually for me it's like you crank on a song that is very loud and very fast, like there's a way that'll kind of ease out and you can get into much more of a flow with it, and everything becomes a lot easier. And so running through that suck, setting those goals is such an important element of college and life and everything else. Now, because I want to get you out of here, because we talked about only being an hour for time-wise, I actually have to head out as well. I love to ask you, do you have anything to plug, anything to promote? This has been a great conversation. Thank you so much for coming on. I am great time talking with you. So what do you want to share?
Yeah, so if anyone listening wants to keep up with my story or even talk to me, wants to run anything by me, or wants any advice on anything, you can follow me on @Easton.Dana on Instagram, and I'll just respond to any DMs. If you want to learn more about canned goods and our mission, go to cannedgoodsclothing.com and Canned Goods Clothing on Instagram. Canned Goods Clothing on Instagram, that's all one word. And if you want to reach out to the brand and talk about brand stuff, whether it's discussing ideas, you want to get involved or collaborate, just email me or DM me on the main site or the main Instagram. And my email is eastondana@cannedgoodsclothing.com.
Amazing. Thank you. Absolutely, listener. Go check out all of those great things. Go check out Canned Goods Clothing for yourself. Get a can for yourself. Not to back up Easton any more than he probably already is, but go get a shirt. They seem really cool. I'm so hyped to get mine. But thank you so much for listening. Easton, thank you again for coming on today. It's been an absolute pleasure to chat. Such a really cool, energetic, kind of a really inspiring guy. So great to meet you, great to talk to you and all of that. Do you have any other kind of parting words or final things to say before we head out of here?
I would just say, Carter, you're the best. I love this. You asked such good questions, and I'm super excited to see where all this all goes. Thank you so much.
I'm right back at you. You're the best. Thank you. Listener, thank you. You're also the best. If you want to find us, our Instagram is @StucoPod and our email is stucopod@gmail.com. Totally check out all things canned goods before you get to us. Wishing you the best of luck and the best of times in all of your educational endeavors. The Student Council is adjourned.